Okay. Okay, David.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon.
Before we get to the game in the upcoming week, can you just update us on the status of Michael Gallup and just his ability to make that play while suffering such a injury while doing it?
Michael makes so many of those catches on a regular basis. It's just remarkable how he can go up and obviously, sustain, through the injury. But, it's been confirmed. Michael has an ACL, so he is lost for the season. But yeah, he'll definitely be missed. And just a class act. I mean, everybody loves Michael, and but yeah, it's a very unfortunate loss from the game yesterday.
Hey, Mike, can you go ahead and start with just what your approach will be to the game this week from a personnel standpoint, since you and Philadelphia are kind of boxed in on your seeds? There's a potential for movement, but
yeah, definitely. Talked about it last night. Talked about it again this morning. We're gonna play. We're gonna play to win the game. So that's our approach. Obviously with everything in front of us, we understand the scenarios and so forth. But yeah, we're going to Philadelphia and we're gonna line up to do what we need to do to win the game.
Coach, can you quickly give us any COVID updates? Any players test positive today?
We had 0 positive players today.
Going back to the thought process of playing to win this week, is that about building momentum for the playoffs, or about execution from Sunday? What's the focus?
I think obviously 2 schools of thought. I've been part of both of them in the past, so had a chance to talk through that and really the result of both scenarios. But I think just like anything, this is the best thing for us. I mean, this is the best thing for our football team. There are slight odds to potentially move up, so we want to make sure we take care of business on our end and finish off and make sure that we're playing with momentum going into the game. So this obviously it'll be a quick week, because we're on a 6-day week here prep-wise. But yeah, we have full intention. I think playing up there in the weather in Philadelphia will serve us well.
Mike, which parts of the Cardinals defense do you think were the biggest challenges for last night, and particularly with the timing of the passing game?
I think really probably the biggest challenge for us, over the course of the game was, obviously they had a number of players that they moved around and had a number of changes in their high scheme volume, and frankly, it probably helped them in some ways. Just making sure our identifications were intact. We had some. Just had some mishaps in protection, identification, and things like that. But yeah, we were never in the rhythm that we would have liked to have been. I'm going to say never. I mean, we struggled with rhythm at times, in the passing game, and I think, clearly, that's something that we can learn from, and I think it's all part of this. Because hey, who knows what's going to happen this week? I mean, COVID may be part of the way Philadelphia lines up. So, and maybe it will be in the playoffs. So this is definitely something we need to learn from.
Dak said after the game that because I guess Buda Baker had said that Arizona intentionally worked on giving Dak as much scheme as possible and is just trying to confuse him. And Dak said he felt that defenses have been scheming at disguises more frequently against him than other quarterbacks this season. Do you agree with that based on film study, or how would you assess the amount of disguises y'all are seeing relative to?
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that disguise definitely has increased because of our ability to play at the line of scrimmage, our ability to shift from up tempo, have different forms of up tempo. So I think it's just all part of the chess match, and I think frankly it really plays to their identity. I mean, I think their safeties are excellent players, and the ability to disguise, and particularly Buda Baker and with his ability to pressure. I think it's clearly something that we'll continue to see more of too. I mean, it's this is a league of trends.
Do you think Dak is playing consistently well for you, or do you believe he's been up and down lately?
I think Dak, I think you have to look at the full body of work. I think that, just being in tune with the particulars of the game plan and what he's being asked to do. I think he's been very consistent. I just think the fact that the operation and distribution of the football. You look at that over the course of the season. We have goals each week, and he's been hitting those goals on a regular basis. So, but yeah, there's always plays, and I think the fact that we're pretty open about the evaluation and everything, we tend to talk about the one or two that the connection isn't what it should be. So, but there's a lot of good numbers on our offense, and I think you have to identify that also with the things you want to isolate from the other side of the fence.
I know you said you want to play to win the ball game in Philly. Will there be an extra discussion about Zeke and whether or not you want to play him just because he's got an issue going with his knee?
Well, I think just really till we get in here and see the guys move. I mean, it's gonna be a couple of days, because frankly, it's stating the obvious. Tomorrow's a Wednesday, so we won't be able to do a whole lot on the field. It'll be primarily classroom work. We'll have a later start, just to make sure the coaches have plenty of time to get the game plans tight, particularly the normal D&D part. So, and once we get to Wednesday, I'll probably be better served to answer that question.
What was your reaction when you learned last night that the game had been moved from a Sunday afternoon to Saturday evening, and how does that change the week and maybe the pros and cons of it all?
Well, I knew there may be an opportunity for the game to be moved to Saturday. Actually, I was made aware of that, probably 5 or 6 weeks ago. Rich is here, if you're wondering. But yeah, I was made aware of that 5 or 6 weeks ago. So we had a plan. So I mean, I wasn't surprised that it happened, but I knew there was a potential that it could happen. So we're ready for it. I'll be glad when it's over, I guess is probably what you want me to say, right? So.
7 of the first eight penalties that were enforced against you guys, 7 of the first 8 came on 3rd down. Obviously, hard to get in a rhythm that way. When you look back and evaluated those penalties at critical times, what was your assessment having evaluated them?
Yeah, I mean it's part of the game that you just try to work the best you can. Obviously, we identified. This is the second time we've had this official group. We had them in Minnesota, so we have an understanding how they were going to call it. But yeah, I think you really answered the question with that. It was a very herky-jerky game, really on both sides of the ball, and that's part of the way those games go, and you have to you're going to have games like that throughout the year. So just really emphasizing the pre and post snap discipline, because those are the ones we got to really eliminate. And the combative penalties, you can talk about those all you want, but at the end of the day, we just got to keep working our fundamentals, and just keep emphasizing the techniques and so forth, and hopefully we'll stay above that.
Mike, is there any possibility that you all would pull the starters after a few series, or when you say you're going to play to win the games, I mean they're in as long as the outcome's in doubt?
I mean, our full intention is, as we started the game plan today, was to play our guys, to build a game plan to win the game. I think the thing that people need to recognize, you only have 48 players to play the game, so going up there and then you start pulling players. You're really putting stress on other players that particularly haven't played maybe that many reps at that many positions. So you have to be cognizant of that. And I'm talking about special teams and so forth. So I mean, we put a lot of time into the potential play time reports for projected play for each player each and every week. So I mean, to go up there and I think you have to clearly go into the game with the 48 guys that you feel are going to line up for 4 quarters to go win the game.
You mentioned your Green Bay days within the last couple of weeks when you were in these scenarios. Is there one that jumps out at you from the Green Bay days? It's a good example of the way you try to approach it here at the end.
I would say 09 was was a different deal. You know, we went out there and played Arizona, ironically, you know, the last week of the season, and you know, they sat their guys and we played ours because it was, you know, our first time in the playoffs. We were very, very young, youngest team in the league, frankly. So we felt it was important to play. So it, you know, it was the last game that didn't mean anything. You know, I think this game definitely there's still a chance. You know, so, and I think just the way you've seen these last couple of weeks go, I mean, anything's possible. So, so that's you know, I think that's clearly the difference in that. So, but then we went back out the following week and played them again. So, and lost the game in overtime. So it was a, you know, Kurt Warner classic. But it's, you know, I think you know, you look at those experiences, you know, and I had on the other side of the fence when, you know, we were 15-1 in Green Bay and we rested a bunch of guys the last game and it still won the game, but, you know, the defense, you know, was short and you know, and had a rough day, you know, and then I think that could have maybe carried over into the playoffs too. So I mean, you can evaluate those things, you can over-evaluate them, but I think at the end of the day, you have to look what's best for your current team, and that's what we're doing. And we feel strongly that we need to go. We need to stay in the rhythm. You know, this is our first time in the playoffs together, so we want to go in there as strong as possible, you know, from a play style and momentum standpoint.
Mike, you had several players yesterday mention after the game about the questionable officiating. Do you have any concerns at all about future games with guys if things start going that way again with calls, that it could be a distraction for them, or they kind of feel like, oh, here we go again?
I wouldn't say distraction. I think like anything, you know, when you do a game plan, you have, you know, we have officials. You know, report, you know, because, you know, every crew's different. You know, they have statistics, they have trends, you know, they have tendencies. And, you know, and I think with that, because you know, it's a good way to emphasize, you know, what's in front of you, and it just, you know, another way to keep emphasizing, you know, playing with disciplined technique and so forth and so forth. So, yeah, to me, it's part of the game. It's part of the game you can't control. So, I mean, there's no excuses there. But yeah, I think, you know, like anything, and I mean it was a herky jerky game. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of rhythm to the game. It was up and down, really, you know, all four quarters, and you know, and I think our guys were obviously disappointed in the outcome. So, but you know, trust me, we'll move forward. We're on a short week. We really don't have any time to really go back and reflect on it, but it's just, you know, we just got to continue to take care of what we can control, and is we just got to, you know, stay focused on the details.
And then takeaways have been such a huge part, obviously, of your defense. Just when you went back and watched the game, what do you think was the biggest reason why you guys weren't able to?
Well, I think the biggest thing is takeaway opportunities, you know, and we had a few. So, and you know, they did a really good job of sustaining drives. I think that was a big part of their success. I mean, you look at the time of possession, but you know, the takeaway opportunities come first. You know, as long as we keep banging on the door and we had some opportunities, I don't concern myself with the numbers, because I mean, you need to, you know, obviously they factor in the way, you know, our games have gone this year. If you just look at the success we've had when we have had the takeaways, but you know, it's not an absolute. So I mean, we put a lot of time into it. You know, it's part of our identity. But you know, at the end of the day, if you know, you got to take care of it and try to take it away. And you know, we're definitely getting ourselves in position. You know, our guys are playing with the right play style. So you know, I think it's just, you know, something make, you know, just hopefully it'll just be a 1 week deal where we didn't actually get one. But the opportunities were there. Our guys are in position, and that's the hardest part. So I feel good about that.
Mike, we asked you a lot last week about your tempo offense and the pace, and we didn't see it as much yesterday. What was that? Some of that was because of what they were doing defensively and disguising, and it took some time to get the right looks. And how much of it was they were holding the ball on offense, and you didn't feel you were in a position to go out there and do a quick 3 and out?
Well, I think it's really part of the, you know, the earlier answer with the rhythm. I mean, it's, you know, it's hard to get into an up-tempo offense when you're, you know, the herky-jerkiness of the penalties and the resets, and you're not converting the third downs. I think we had three and outs, but I mean, so we were able to fight through some of it. We just weren't able to overcome it enough to, you know, to get into get into the type of game you would prefer to play. And that's the challenge in herky-jerky games. I mean, every game has its own ebb and flow. That's the beauty of this competitive arena that we work in is, no game's ever exactly the same. So, and the ebb and flow of that game was a bit of a challenge. And, I think it clearly played into, some of the reasons why we weren't probably in the up-tempo as much as we would have liked to have been.
Mike, could New York have gotten involved in the fumble and review on their own?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think just you look at the way, officiating's gone this year. Replay assist is now part of the equation. And I think in that particular instance, and it's something that I was trying to echo to Derek there. The down judge was, take it to replay, and and then when he didn't, you do have replay assist. I mean, replay assist I think has been outstanding this year. I mean, it goes on. I think there's times during the course of the game, I'm sure the public doesn't even know that it's there. So they corrected a couple. I know they corrected a spot earlier in the game on the tight end screen that Arizona had. So, but yeah, just the communication I received on the sideline was there wasn't enough information for them to stop it, is what Derek told me. And because the only thing that stops replay assist is if the offense goes into a turbo or cheetah, hurry up, whatever you want to call it. And Arizona was in a 4-minute. We were in a 4-minute situation, and they did not hurry up. So it was definitely an opportunity where I think it would have been beneficial for them to look at. Is that it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. With Jordan Lewis coming back from COVID, is that what dictated his role over the course of the game?
Absolutely. You talking about his play time, Mike?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I just think, stating the obvious, coming back, missing some time. We were very cognizant of his reps, and I thought the coaches and Jay Lou did a nice job communicating that, through the course of the game.
The layup game on the 2-point conversion attempt.
Yeah.
Is that, can you walk through that sequence and kind of how that developed?
Well, I mean, obviously we got to be better there, but it seemed like we had a couple instances throughout the game. No different than the timeout that we called on their field goal alignment situation. It's times when you do go from 1 to 2, and they do emphasize the fact that the pace of game is important. But when you do go from a 1-point situation to 2, it sometimes takes a little longer to get the substitution in. So, but yeah, we got to be cleaner there. I thought the operation was fine, but obviously it wasn't. When they called a delay game.
Mike, y'all went for it 3 times on 4th down, converted all 3. What was working well on 4th down? And you talked to us about the decisions of when you want to play more aggressively versus conservative. Why did you choose to attempt those?
Well, I mean, that varies every week, and I think and also you get into the ebb and flow of the game. So those are the conversations that are going on during the course of the game. That's what the offensive coaches are talking about, and that's what you're bouncing back and forth from the offense and defense. So, but yeah, we have a general idea, whether it's 4th and 4, 3, field position going into the game, but the ebb and flow of the game and how it lays out. I thought those were clear decisions, and obviously I thought we had excellent play call in execution in those situations. I thought that was definitely a strength.
Any anticipation of Bohannon and Neal coming off COVID at midweek?
Under the new protocols, I'll be hopeful that yes, I'm hoping we'll know more tomorrow. I think Wednesday's probably a little more realistic.
You said yesterday the run game is something you have to have. You realize your identity. How concerned are you about getting a running game going in time for it to be a part of the playoff run?
Well, it has to be. So, I think we understand that, and I think going back to the ebb and flow, herky-jerky, whatever how you want to describe it, I think that was part of it yesterday. I mean, because when you do have penalties, the down distances obviously tilt against you. But yeah, we understand what the run game means to not only our offense but to our whole football team. You run the football for your whole football team, and I think clearly the time of possession being that unbalanced is would just reconfirm how important it is to our football team.
Mike, do you have any update on Blake Jarwin and what just the latest is with Blake? Does he have a chance to come back at all?
Yeah, we're hopeful. I mean, actually, I thought Blake had an excellent workout Saturday, so we're hopeful of maybe maybe we may be able to get him back on the field this week. So yeah, he definitely has a chance to potentially be out there. So made a lot of progress here over the last 10 days. Really liked his workout Saturday.
CJ could win on one punt, it was a 57-yard punt, and he beat his guy off the line and beat what looked like a double team kind of weak between two guys and made that tackle for a 5-yard loss to return. Can you maybe speak to what you saw from him on that play, but overall what he gives you as it relates to the end yardage component of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think CJ is special at what he brings, to our football team. He's not only what you see on Sundays, but how he is in the locker room. He's definitely a man that commands a lot of respect for just the way he goes about his business. He's been a pleasure to work with, and I think just he's so consistent and such a gifted athlete. So I mean, he can do a lot and has tremendous pride and will, and is definitely a staple for us on special teams.
And we'll finish up.
Three updates. It looked like Michael had something on his arm last night. Make sure he's okay. Any other injury updates for the game?
Micah Parsons? I have nothing to report on Micah at this time. No. Good?
Injury update, the other guys.
No, just
Yeah, that's it. Just Michael Gallup was the only one.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Finish up with this one, please.
Given that your defense has gotten so many